Hey everybody, this is Herschel from High School Top 200. This is a preview of the #1 team in the country, Hastings boys, and they're going to be taking on New Plymouth boys tomorrow. Before I get started with that, the under 15 boys for Napier boys are having a barbecue so they can fundraise to go to the Nationals in Wellington. So if you're at the game, please go and buy a barbecue and support the boys and help them get to their Nationals in Wellington. And that's for under 15 Napier. So we'll start off with the similarities between these teams in terms of the teams that they have played and that they've both played. Because we know what Hastings can do, and we know what they're capable of, and that's pretty much demolishing every school that they've come up against. So I thought that I'd have a look at some of the schools that they've both played, so you guys can get an idea of what a scoreline could be. They've played 4 schools. They've both played the same 4 schools, and that's Rongotai, Wellington, St. Pat's Town, and also Wairarapa. Against Rongotai, Hastings won 55-0, Napier won 8-22. Against Wellington, Hastings won 50-10. And Napier won 15-0. That's 15-0. St. Pat's Town, Hastings won obviously 106-7. Napier boys won 22-0, and then Wairarapa was kind of a similar score, where Hastings won 46-7, and then Napier won 49-7. Now, I don't want to sound like, because I want to be honest with everything I do, and so I don't want to make it seem like that, you know, I'm trying to make or create something, some kind of hype out of it. But I don't see Napier boys getting within 20 points of Hastings boys. If they did, I would consider that a victory for Napier boys. Now, I understand the fact, and like this is something that people don't understand, because you know the Hastings and Napier are not that far away from each other, like 10 minutes. And so like all these boys know each other. They know exactly what each other can do in terms of a game. They've played reps together since they were in like Ross Shield and, you know, under 14s and under 16s, Hawke's Bay and things like that. So and like these guys are friends, like they're all mates, so they all know each other. It ain't that big of an area to be like just being hearing about somebody. They already know each other name by name. They grew up together and all that kind of stuff. So they pretty much have a good idea of what's going to happen. This video will probably piss off a lot of Napier boys, and I mean, if that adds fuel to your fire and gives you a bit more reason to go out and prove people wrong, cool. By all means, Kanye does the same, and he's successful. So like if Napier gets something out of this and lifts their spirits, then cool. So like if I went through let's say Hastings boys, right? So Hastings boys got Keanu, Miracle, and Josiah, and those 3 will probably be the starting front row. I could probably see Keanu come into the hooker, Miracle go off, and then the other year 12 kid, spacing my mind a bit, I forgot what his name was, but he'll probably come in there, and so we'll see Keanu at hooker as well. And then that front row rotation is probably going to be the same anyway. And what you're going to expect from these front rows is that all you're going to expect is a lot of bashing, a lot of fitness, quick rucks, and ball skills. And it's the speed in which they do all of this is the reason why Hastings boys is that good. You still got Donovan, Emil Crichton, who started last week. I think he's year maybe 11 or 12, I think so. And then you got Liam, Newty, John. You still got Jariah and Devon, Flanders, of course. So like all these guys, they don't just execute a game plan. They execute it at speed, and the execution is exact. And that's the reason why they move so fast. And everything is done with a plan and with a purpose, and it's executed precisely, and that's why they get so many scores like this. So for Napier boys, they're going to have to try and keep up with that pace. I personally don't think that they have the personnel on the Napier boys team to sort of match up, because that's the way it's got to be. Like, people say there's like, oh, you can't play their game. The way that Hastings play, you kind of have to, because they force you into doing that. And then it becomes contagious to the point where, like, you get the ball and then you think you have to go fast. So it has to take somebody, a leader on their team, to say, hey, let's settle down. So Josh is going to have to slow that down. Lorlani's probably going to have to slow that down. Luke, Cam, guys like that are probably going to have to say to everybody else, okay, once we got the ball, let's slow it down, let's grind it out, and we're going to have to try and overpower their defense, which is not an easy job. And that's kind of the way that I would probably take it. Now, Napier boys have kind of, I don't think that they have like a set roster. I always see a lot of changes in certain positions. The front row is one of them. I probably would have Cam, Tyrone, and Paddy up in the front row. I would put Tyrone at prop. I think they tried this last week. I'll put him at prop. Put Paddy in at hooker, because these guys got two good hookers. And they're both year 12s, so they're both going to be back. That's the problem that they have. Two really good hookers, and they don't really know which one to start, and not one of them is really a prop. But if you put Tyrone and Paddy on there, I think that the work rate is going to pay off in that order. So I would probably do that. Jake and Fletcher are probably going to be the locks. Luke Russell is going to be there with Lolani, and Lolani's going to have to really play that, because he runs a lot loose and away from the pack. I don't think he can do that. And if he's going to play away from the pack, like maybe a foot out from, like a pass out from the first five, he's got to angle his runs back in. Like, you can't get caught out there, because even their backs, like Falau, who's the halfback, is a really good defender, and he can get over the ball, and he can't be moved as well. So, like, you can't get stuck out there, because if Falau gets over the ball, and then right off that, Jiraiya is probably going to be there with Devon, you're going to lose your possession. And so I don't think that Lolani can play off like that. He's going to have to play off the ball, and then play into, even into the defenders. As long as his boys are around, I think you can save yourself, a turnover or two. But he would probably be one that's going to be pretty important to this Napier pack in terms of how they're going to get some go for it. And I think they have to grind it out. I think even if you just slow the game right down when you have the ball. Like, if you get the ball, call how many phases you want to do, and then even after those phases are complete, reset your goal of phases that you want to do and just do it again. And even if it becomes boring, I mean, Auckland Grammar shouldn't have beat Hamilton boys, but they did the same thing and they won. So why not try and do the same things against Hastings? Is that kill the ball, kill the time, have a boring game plan where you hold the position, and then we'll see what happens from there. Make the mistakes. Humphrey and Henry at 9 and 10 for Napier boys are going to have to really try, and when they make their calls, they have to be exactly precise in what calls they make, and that they make sense, and that they're not venturing too far off their game plan. Because, like I said, once they get caught and once they tackle and they're by themselves, you're gonna lose the ball. Jiraiya's just too fast. Devon's just too fast. Jordan Thompson, Dunn, as well as Denon Robinson are good defenders. But then once they get that turnover ball, you're gonna see Danny and then Kinney. Trent's another one that was, they're all just going to fly around, and then all of a sudden you got broken down play, and then they're off to scoring a try. And that's kind of how it is, and that's kind of what they've been doing. So, boring game. Bring everyone in, play it tight, I think. Even you can get Nathan and Dan off the wings, and you can bring them in closer, make sure you're not spaced out too much, and play it that way. But I mean, like I said, like within 20 points, I think you've had a good game. I'm picking Hastings to win this, obviously, but I feel like it's going to be a 50-point game, and how much am I going to give? I say 57-13. Something around that. 57-13 to Hastings boys. It's still going to be a good game. I would look for the passion of it. I look for that kind of stuff as well. I feel like Hastings is going to be too strong. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's my prediction. Peace.